Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. So, you know how we always ask for listener requests?
Yeah, I love those. Keeps us on our toes.
Well, this one's coming straight from you guys, our amazing listeners. They want to know more about, get this, integrating core subjects into PE classes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. And they sent over some really cool research, like articles and even, wait for it, a chart.
A chart. That's fun.
Yeah, but this chart, let me tell you, it's not your average chart.
Yeah.
It's packed with creative ideas. I mean, bursting at the seams.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
I knew you'd be into it. So lucky for us, we've got our expert here. They're going to help us unpack it all.
Happy to be here.
And we're not just going to scratch the surface. We're going deep, folks. Beyond the what, into the why and the how.
Love it. Deep dive.
Exactly. So are you ready to rethink what's possible in PE?
I'm always ready for that.
Perfect. Because this chart, well, it's got some real gems in it.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, how about using movement to solve math problems?
Okay.
Or, get this, basketball Scrabble.
Basketball Scrabble. Now that's creative.
Right. And it's not just about being creative, it's about engaging different kinds of learners at the same time.
Ah, hitting all those different learning styles. Makes sense.
Totally. So imagine this. You're a kid in PE class, right?
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And instead of just running drills, you're forming shapes with your body to solve a geometry problem.
Whoa. So you're like literally embodying the concept. I like that.
Exactly. It's visual, it's kinesthetic, it's multi-dimensional learning in action.
Okay, I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
Right. And then you've got something like that basketball Scrabble.
Yeah. Tell me more about how that works.
So not only are you practicing your spelling, but you're having to think fast, make calculations, all while, coordinating your body to actually get the ball in the hoop.
It's like sneaking in extra learning without them even realizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. This chart's got us covered. Like, how about acting out the solar system?
Okay, that sounds fun.
Right. Imagine turning your whole gym into a giant moving model of planetary orbits.
Wow. That's a pretty amazing visual.
I know, right? Talk about bringing science to life.
Speaking of bringing things to life, one of the studies you sent really emphasized how important active participation is for learning.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading that.
It was saying how passive learning, like just sitting and listening, it can't compare to the depth of understanding you get when you're truly engaged.
It makes sense. When you're actively involved, you're not just absorbing information, you're experiencing it.
Exactly. You're making those connections, building those neural pathways, all while having fun and moving your body.
Okay, so we've got all these awesome activity ideas from the chart, right?
Yeah, we've barely scratched the surface.
I know. But let's maybe, zoom in on a few specific subject areas and see how this integration plays out.
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. So let's start with language arts, for example. The possibilities there seem pretty much endless.
Oh, yeah.
I'm picturing obstacle courses that are based on stories, jump rope routines where you weave in poetry.
Ooh, I like that. What about incorporating journaling?
Journaling in PE.
Yeah, think about it. PE can be really powerful for self-discovery, emotional regulation, all that good stuff.
I never really thought about it that way.
Imagine students writing about how they felt during a challenging activity, like how they overcame frustration or what strategies they used to persevere.
It adds a whole new dimension to physical education.
Totally. It goes beyond just the physical to explore, like the mental and emotional aspects too.
I love that. And speaking of different dimensions, science is another subject that just seems ripe for integration.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about demonstrating concepts like friction or levers through movement.
So instead of just reading about friction in a textbook,
You're actually feeling those forces at work.
exactly. Imagine kids experimenting with different surfaces, different shoes, to see how it affects their speed or their ability to stop.
Suddenly, it's not just this abstract concept. It's something they can experience and understand on a much deeper level.
And that brings us to another key principle from that research, relevance. When kids can connect what they're learning to their own lives, their own experiences.
It just clicks.
Exactly. And that's when true engagement happens.
Okay, so we've got language arts, science. What about social studies? I feel like we can't leave that one out.
Oh, for sure. Social studies is a bold mine for integration.
Imagine learning historical dances or games from different cultures.
Right. What a fun way to experience history firsthand.
And it goes beyond just fun, right? It promotes cultural awareness and understanding.
Absolutely. It's like a window into another world.
Think about a game like Mancala.
We call it.
It originated in Africa centuries
I
ago.
love that game.
Me too. And by playing it, kids are not only developing strategic thinking skills.
They're also connecting with a rich cultural heritage.
Right. And then you could use pedometers to track distances during a historical journey activity.
Oh, that's a good one.
Suddenly, geography becomes this immersive adventure.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so we've covered some pretty amazing activities, but let's maybe shift gears for a second.
Where are we going now?
Let's talk about the how behind all of this. How do we make sure this integration actually works?
Okay. Getting into the nitty-gritty. I like it.
Well, the research you sent mentioned these principles of learning applied to PE.
Principles of learning.
Now, I know that might sound a bit dry.
Just a tad.
But trust me, it's important.
Okay, you've got my attention.
These principles, they kind of provide the foundation for effective teaching in any subject, really.
Including PE. Got it.
We've already touched on a couple of them, like participation and relevance.
Right.
But there's more to uncover.
All right, lead the way.
Because it's not just about what we teach, it's about how we teach it.
To maximize that learning, right?
You got it.
So let's talk about repetition.
Oh, yeah, repetition.
We all know that saying practice makes perfect, right?
Definitely.
But when it comes to PE, it's not just about doing the same motions over and over again like a robot.
Right. Got to keep it interesting.
Exactly. It's about creating these engaging activities that allow students to, refine their skills through that repeated practice.
So instead of just making them run laps,
you might have them play a game where they're constantly dodging, weaving, changing direction.
which I guess would reinforce agility and coordination without feeling like a boring drill.
Exactly. And when they're having fun, they're going to be more motivated to keep practicing.
Makes sense.
Which brings us to another super important principle, transference.
Transference. Okay. Tell me more about that.
So it's not just about the skills they learn in PE class. It's about how they can apply those skills to other areas of their lives.
Oh, I see. So it's like the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's about those connections.
So it's not enough to just teach them how to throw a ball.
Right.
We need to help them understand how that throwing motion connects to other actions, like throwing a frisbee, or even serving in volleyball.
Exactly. Or how the balance and coordination they develop through, let's say, gymnastics.
Could make them better at other sports.
Or even just everyday activities.
Never thought about it like that.
It's all connected.
That's pretty cool.
And, of course, we can't talk about learning without talking about feedback.
Feedback. Yeah, that's a big one.
And I don't know about you, but in my experience, feedback in PE can sometimes be a bit...
Generic.
Yeah, generic. Lots of good job or try harder.
Which, it's nice and all, but...
It doesn't really help students understand what they're doing well or where they need to improve.
So what kind of feedback should we be giving then?
The research talked a lot about the importance of being specific and constructive.
Okay, specific and constructive.
And focusing on the process, not just the outcome.
So instead of just saying, nice kick.
You could say something like, I like how you kept your eye on the ball and followed through with your swing. That gave you more power.
Oh, that's good. That's much more helpful.
Right. It helps them break down the skill, understand the mechanics, and identify areas for improvement.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Now, something that I found really interesting in the source material was the section on divergent learners.
Oh yeah, divergent learners. They mentioned those.
Have you worked with many divergent learners?
I haven't, to be honest. Tell me more about them.
Well, they often excel in things like creativity, problem solving, thinking outside the box.
So they're like the innovators, the creative thinkers.
You got it. And they tend to thrive in hands-on, interactive learning environments.
Which I guess traditional classrooms don't always provide.
Exactly. It's they need to move, they need to explore, to really engage with the learning process.
I see. So how does PE fit into all of this?
Well, PE offers that perfect outlet for their energy, their need for exploration.
I can see that.
Think about all those activities we were talking about before. Creating obstacle courses, designing games, choreographing dances, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
It all taps into the strengths of a divergent learner.
It's not just running around. It's about using movement and physical activity to unlock all that creativity and critical thinking.
Exactly. And PE can also be a really great space for them to work on social skills, collaboration, all of that.
Oh, interesting.
They might struggle with traditional classroom dynamics, but in this more active, dynamic setting.
They can really shine.
Exactly. It's about creating a learning environment where their unique strengths are valued, celebrated.
Love it.
And that brings us to another really important piece of the puzzle here: collaboration.
Collaboration between
Teachers.
yes.
Because for real integration to happen, it can't just be the PE teacher's responsibility.
Right. It takes a village.
Exactly. Classroom teachers, PE teachers, they need to work together.
Sharing ideas. Finding ways to connect their curriculum.
Break down those silos.
Exactly. See learning as this, interconnected web.
Beautiful. I love that.
Me too.
Yeah,
And it makes me think, what about our listeners? They're teachers too, right?
of course.
So as they're thinking about their own subject area,
Think about those potential connections to movement and physical activity.
how could you incorporate those elements to make learning more engaging, more memorable?
Exactly.
Could you create a historical reenactment that gets students moving?
Ooh, I like that one.
Or a science experiment that involves building and testing a structure?
You're getting it. It's all about thinking outside the box.
Right. It's about looking beyond those traditional boundaries of the classroom. Yeah. Embracing the power of movement
Yes, movement is key.
to enhance learning.
And, as we're talking about all of this,
Yeah.
one question keeps coming back to me.
Oh, what's that?
How do we make sure that all this amazing integration doesn't get lost in translation?
Lost in translation. What do you mean by that?
Well, how do we ensure that what students learn in PE actually sticks with them,
Oh, you mean how do we make sure it actually influences their behaviors and choices?
Yes, outside of the gym, in their real lives.
That's a really good question.
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think it all comes back to some of those core principles we were discussing earlier.
Oh, yeah, relevance, for example.
Relevance, that's a big one.
When students can actually see those connections between what they're learning in PE and their own lives, their health, their well-being.
That's when it all clicks.
Exactly. That's when the magic happens.
So it's not just about teaching them how to play basketball or how to run a mile.
Right.
It's about helping them understand why those skills actually matter.
Exactly. How they contribute to a healthier, happier life.
And I guess giving them the tools to, actually take ownership of their own health and well-being. Yes, that's so important. And that might mean giving them choices in activities, allowing them to set personal goals, encouraging them to be active outside of school.
So it's about creating this culture of wellness that extends, way beyond the walls of the gym.
Exactly. And that culture starts with us, the educators. We need to be those role models. We need to advocate for these programs. We need to make those connections for them.
Show them that it's all connected.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From all those creative activity ideas to those core principles to even the role of technology in PE.
A lot to unpack.
I know. And as we wrap up, I'm just curious, what are your biggest takeaways from all of this? What's really resonating with you?
I think for me, it's just that reminder that PE is so much more than just physical activity.
It's about developing those essential skills, building those healthy habits, fostering a love of movement that will hopefully stay with them for their whole lives.
Beautifully said.
And it's about recognizing the power of PE to enhance learning in all subjects, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've seen how movement can make those concepts come alive, engage different types of learners, create those light bulb moments.
I love those moments.
Me too. And as we leave our listeners today, I think a good challenge for them, for all of us really, is to think about how we can use movement in our own teaching or even our own learning.
To make a concept more engaging.
More memorable.
More fun.
Whether it's a small activity in the classroom or a whole integrated lesson plan, the possibilities really are endless.
Don't be afraid to get creative.
That's a great note to end on. So thank you to our amazing expert for joining us on this deep dive into the world of integrated PE.
It's been a pleasure.
It really has. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. Keep those requests coming. And who knows what fascinating topics await us on our next deep dive.
Keep exploring, keep innovating, and most importantly, keep moving.
See you next time.